Hi there, Anajasa M. Ocho here once again. In this video, I will discuss specifically the translocation of food in plants. I'm gonna explain and describe how translocation process in the plants happen. I have prepared here a drawing or illustration to show to you the translocation of food from source to sink. I had introduced phloem in my previous video, the differences between xylem and phloem. Phloem is a complex tissue which is made up of four major cells: the phloem parenchyma, phloem fiber, sieve tubes, and companion cells. So in translocation of food, there are only two main cells involved. These are the sieve tube and companion cells. In the phloem, this is the sieve tube. Beside is the companion cell, and in between one cell to another sieve tube is the sieve plate, which has holes in it or perforation so that material can move easily. Beside the phloem is the xylem, which I included here because it has also its role in translocation of food. How does translocation of food will take place? Now you know that the leaf is part of the plant which photosynthesis takes place and produces food. The food produced is in the form of glucose. This glucose will be converted into starch. In order for plant distribute from food from the leaves to other plant parts, this starch will get converted into another sugar called sucrose. You may ask why it is converted into sucrose. Because whenever the plant distributes the sugar, it will be in the form of sucrose, which is the circulating sugar in the plant. Why sucrose and not glucose? This is because this form of sugar can carry more energy. It is an efficient energy carrier comparatively to glucose. Secondly, it doesn't react with other molecules and form any other compound, whereas glucose, there is a possibility that while it gets distributed, it can react with other molecules and form an intermediate compounds. Because the sucrose is produced in the leaves, leaves becomes now the source of the food. From the source, this food should reach every plant part of body and storage tissue or the sink. The sink can either be underground plant part like sweet potato or either be fruit or anywhere where food can get stored. The food moves from source into the sink. How does it happen? Through phloem, the transport system will take place. On how it gets transported starts here in the leaf. Leaves produce sucrose by photosynthesis, and that sucrose will be transported into companion cells of the phloems. This transport is an active transport which uses ATP. By using ATP energy, it gets transported into companion cell to phloem. Once it reaches the companion cell, the sucrose will move into sieve tube. Once the sucrose moves into sieve tube, from the companion cell, the sucrose molecule, which acts as a solute, is entering more. Due to more solute here, the water in the xylem will move through the phloem. Why is it moving? Because you have high water potential here in the xylem to low water potential here. Because there are more sucrose in the phloem, water moves and enter into the sieve tube to the phloem. Again, osmosis takes place to move water from high to low potential. Once this water molecule enters into the sieve tube, what will happen is that the hydrostatic pressure will increase. You know, when the water enters into the cell, becomes swollen and becomes turgid. With that, it creates a pressure. When that pressure increases, it results into movement of sucrose towards the sieve tube from high pressure to low pressure. The sucrose and water moves here to here. This way, it moves from one sieve tube to another until it reaches into the sink or storage tissue, where sucrose is deposited, and the sucrose deposited will be converted into starch while it is getting stored.
Water also moves out of phloem, decreasing pressure, and water returns to transpiration stream in the xylem. This movement of material through the phloem is mainly taking place with the help of pressure of the water as it enters and created a pressure. This theory is called mass hypothesis theory, or called pressure flow hypothesis, because water enters as a mass is flowing from higher to lower concentration. With this theory, it easily explains how the food translocate from source to sink through phloem. So that is how the transport of food materials takes place in the phloem.